And when you find your passion, it ignites you as a person. You just feel awesome. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal and let's talk about some jiu-jitsu. Now, ladies, if you're interested in jiu-jitsu for self-defense, let me show you something. This is your attacker's leg. This is your attacker's leg on jiu-jitsu. Any questions? All right, so I'm gonna be showing you exactly that technique in this video. So let's get to it. All right, so in jiu-jitsu, they call it the gentle art. But the reason why they call it the gentle art isn't because it feels gentle when you're training, because rolling hard definitely does not feel gentle. They call it gentle because you have a defense and an offense. You have a question and an answer. They do something, and instead of fighting against what they're doing, you read the body language and the movement that they're doing, and then you respond to it. For me personally, I've been doing this for 5 years consistently. The hardest part of my journey was like at the end of the first year and going into the second year, because I had practiced all of these techniques. Literally, you know, these are all the techniques. Do you see the size font? To even, yeah. Like imagine every one of these techniques has at least 5 steps, 20 steps if you're very good at it. And then to be able to recall any one of these, to be able to do it not under duress, to be able to go live and recall when to use, to know when to use any one of these, to recall on site when to use any one of these is like, it takes some time. So definitely be patient with yourself whenever you first start. It's not a Jackie Chan movie. Like everybody thinks they can fight. I can guarantee you, if you have never trained, you cannot fight. It's not something nobody is ever born with a skill. Okay, like I was watching a bullfighting, there's a really good bullfighting show on Netflix, and one of the guys is like, oh yeah, this guy is so great, he was born with it. And you see his story and it's like, no, he wasn't. He was literally born on a ranch and started riding horses when he was like 4. Like there's no such thing as born skill. It is skill that you put hours and hours, hundreds of hours into in order to see it come to fruition on the mat. So if you're putting in time, it's just a matter of time before things start working. And one piece of advice that I could give any upcoming white belt is when you want something to work so bad and you're working on a specific technique, one major problem that I had is like you get so focused, you just try to make it work in instances where they're not asking for it. So you're like, here's this round hole, right, that you want to squeeze your square technique into, and you're just kind of like trying to jam it in there and it's not working, and you're getting frustrated and like physically burnt out because you're just using way too much energy to get the shit that you want to have work. So my advice is either train from the position that you want to start in and ask for like a decrease of resistance. That way you can at least get some reps in and have it make it feel real, so you feel like you're actually, you know, progressing in what you need to progress in. And so that leads me to a couple of other comments that I got that are very interesting. One gentleman commented, I showed a technique and he was like, oh yeah, there's too many steps to that. Like that would never work. Like you obviously don't train. Do you know how many steps are involved in every single one of these techniques? Yeah, and I had another person comment, oh my God. Okay, so he's like, yes, I am a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I was rolling with this experienced white belt. She was almost a blue belt. And he's like, she was chaining attacks together. Like I would defend, she would attack, and it was beautiful, but she never got a submission. And in her mind, she had failed because she did not submit somebody and nothing that she tried worked. But the problem is, it's like, what is our definition of working? When you link and remember techniques and you chain them together, you have to understand that this is a game of levels, and you are going up against a level that is very experienced in defending. They know exactly what you're doing and they know exactly how to defend it. So it may seem like your jiu-jitsu isn't working, but it would in fact work on the streets against somebody who isn't skilled in defending it. The levels are like, okay, if I'm going up against a white belt, my jiu-jitsu is going to work like 100% of the time. Like there's no, if I'm going up against like a more experienced white belt, then things are going to, they're gonna know how to defend, and then it won't be as easy for me if I'm going up against the blue. Like, so there's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? All right. So here is some sparring that happened this past Saturday. During the clip that you're about to see, there's going to be 13 techniques in 20 seconds, and I'm going to break it down afterward. But try to watch this and see if you can guess all the techniques, because when you first look at it, you're like, what's going on here? You think it's one or two, but there is actually a very like high level of technical exchanges happening. I'm going up against my brown belt coach, and he is very good, and he is like giving me some great feeds, and I am taking advantage of every one of those feeds. And this is especially important if you, the reason why I chose this role to show is because it perfectly highlights the defense that you would want to use if somebody were trying to put you in a van. So anytime that he grabs my waist, imagine that there is this creepy ass van in back of us and he is trying to drag me to the van. Whenever we have self-defense classes, typically like if we have a women's class, we will all the first stripe actually is all self-defense based. So what you're about to see is him trying to put me into a van, just imagine that, and me basically breaking both of his legs. Enjoy. To begin, he has me in a collar tie with the grip on my left wrist. I snap down and go in for a low double leg attack. It's low because I am on my knees. He counters with a Kimura grip and he steps back to defend my double leg. So I switch it up. I end up coming up with a single leg, but my head is on the outside. Your head's should never be on the outside. If you have a single leg, or else you're in trouble to get guillotined. So he defends. He actually goes for a Kimura on my left arm, and then we're circling because he's trying to get to my back and I'm trying to get my head on the inside of his body. Now, he defends my grip by doing a single leg sprawl, so he shoots that leg back in order to break my grip while blocking my head so I can get my head on the inside. He goes to my back to gain back position. I feel that. I back up, gain a hold of his ankle, so I can do an ankle pick so I can pull the ankle up so he lands on his butt. It's a type of sweep. He defends by putting his weight forward so I can't get that leg up. I feel that, so I change. This is jiu-jitsu. We're changing direction, so I go for a rolling knee bar. What a rolling knee bar does is once you extend the hips, you can hyperextend their knee and even break their leg. He defends by doing a turn and run, and I switch to attack the other leg. All of that was actually in slow motion, so I could explain it. So he attacks with a necktie. He has a grip on the back of my neck. I defend with a frame with my left hand, and then I shrug my shoulders and go for a Russian tie, stripping his grip from the back of my neck. This is a Russian tie right here. I transition to the top of his head, but I leave my whole left side exposed. So what does he do? He takes advantage of this and goes for a body lock. I try to reframe, that doesn't work. He gets around me for a rear side clinch. From the rear side clinch, I go for a rolling knee bar again, because why not? We go for a rolling knee bar. I transition to the other leg to, We have a philosophy. You want to systematically go for all locks and choke them out. So here we are. We are rolling. I am trying to pass his guard. I'm trying to get his left knee down. He has his arm wrapped around me with fork more grip. That's very annoying. He's trying to go for a sweep. I am trying to block the sweep by hopping on my leg. I get to my knees. I go for a double leg. He has these annoying butterfly hooks that that always end up sweeping me. So I'm like, fuck those butter hooks. And I underhook his legs because I want to get them out of the equation. He's on his side, which is not good. And he has a probably a Kimura lock on my other arm. I try to pass his guard. I get up to a half guard. I try to flatten him out. He has one butterfly hook in, two butterfly hooks in. I'm like, fuck those hooks. I try to pass because he's very good at sweeping, and here he is, sweeps me again. I hate being on bottom. I don't stay there for long. So I escape the bottom. I go for a double leg. I go around the side. And anytime you pass an upper belt's guard, they're probably just setting you up because I just got guillotined. That was a tap. We start again. He does this inverted stuff. I want nothing to do with it. So I try to pass his guard by putting my hips in. I am now in a side control safety position, but he has a hook on my right leg. So I'm trying to defend against that. I try to go for a cut across, but I'm leaning too far forward, and then the buzzer rings. So there is a snippet of 5 years of Jiu Jitsu in 3 minutes. So one thing just to keep in mind, like, did you see the technical exchanges and how it was a back and forth? He knew what I was doing because he has, I think, I don't know, 10 or 12 years of experience. Now imagine 12 years of experience with all of these movements. He knows exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going. He knows exactly how to defend it. And I know how to counter it. And then he counters what I'm doing. And it is just like this exchange of back and forth. And the more moves you know, and the more you need to know like the move. And what's really important, what will really help you in your jiu-jitsu is asking questions like, why isn't this working technically? And there is a resistance point of breaking to every move, which is why it's called the gentle art. So either your move isn't working because there's something technically wrong with it, or your move isn't working because they are just applying too much resistance, and the answer is another move. So if once you start learning, okay, I'm going to try X move, and you know that when they defend X move, you need to transition to Y move. So for example, when I was going for that ankle pick and he defended by putting more weight on his front leg, my answer wasn't just pull the ankle harder, which would be like a non-gentle way of doing it. It's, okay, let's transition to a rolling knee bar because he is giving me half of the submission by leaning forward. That is him asking for it. Yeah. Well, anybody that's trying to attack me out of a van, like, would be asking for it too. But like, sir, your candy sucks. If you have some Reese's though, like, I'll get in your van for a peanut butter cup. So basically, like, that is the feed. So you need to recognize like what the feeds feel like and know, okay, like how are they typically defending this one thing that isn't working, and what can I switch to? What is like the yin and yang move? Like, there's different move pairs that you'll see throughout jiu-jitsu. Like, an example of this is exactly what you saw of me going for a knee pick, an ankle pick, trying to sweep him by lifting up the ankle, and him driving his weight onto that foot. So you can't pick something up off the ground that is weighted. Ankle picks work because of the person's weight is not on that foot anymore. That is like a principle you will see throughout any type of pick. If you're trying to pick a leg to pick it up and hold it, if somebody has all their weight on it, it's not going to work. So you need to have that leg weightless. So because I knew that that leg was weighted, I couldn't get it off the mat. Therefore, I needed to switch to another line of code execution that is going to give me like what I want. So since he was leaning forward, him leaning forward is him putting himself in that position to be taken down with that forward movement. So the rolling knee bar is perfect for that. And then once you have that rolling knee bar position, the knee bar position period, there's knee bars all over. A rolling one is just one way to get into it. It's a matter of holding on to the leg and then extending your hips at the point of the joint, which is why they call it joint locks. It's not really a lock, it's more of a hyper extension, because you're using your hips to drive forward against, if your knee is bending this way, you're driving your hips this way to make it bend in a way that it isn't used to bending. So that is the principle behind any type of locking. It's such a polite word for what you're actually doing. All right, so thank you so much for watching. Just remember, you know, your jiu-jitsu is just like a garden. You're planting seeds and things are growing under the surface. And just because you can't see it, you can't see sprouts yet coming out off of the ground, just have faith that if you are doing reps that are focused, meaning one really helpful way that I like to train is, especially with takedowns, because it's such like an explosive movement, is I try to imagine myself rolling, and it's reps for that. It's reps during class that is just, you know, like drilling, but in my mind, I'm picturing, okay, let me enter as if we were going for real, like live. Like, let me try to get this movement so focused and so precise that I believe it would work during a live session, because you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you drill and you're just half in it, you're just going through the motions, you're not really focused, you're not really thinking, okay, like pretending this is in the context of a live roll. But I find once I start doing that, then I start to train in a way that excels my skill level. It's not just going through the motions, it's doing it with a high level of intention and focus, and me imagining, you know, like this throw is going to work. When I do go live and have that mentality during training is what helps me get things live more quickly, because I've already been there mentally, and it almost gives me more of a belief in myself that I can do it. And having a belief in yourself that what you've been training is actually going to work live is huge, especially if you've never landed that move before, and especially if you're a white belt and you've never landed a single move before. Having that belief that it's going to work, even though you have no historical proof of anything you've ever done working, is like such a huge step to accomplish. But if you train with that belief of like, I'm doing this and it is going to work live. I am training and I am live now, even though you're just, you know, and this is going to work. All right. So just, you know, keep on training and believe in yourself. And before you know it, things are going to be working and everything is going to be great. All right. So until next time, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. We should be friends. And until next time.